The NFL Combine was this past week and weekend, and the most newsworthy thing that goes on at the Combine is folks running 40s and lifting weights and jumping and all that. But it's also a big gossip hub. Just get a lot of GMs, a lot of scouts, a lot of coaches around having some cocktails, eating dinner. Reporters are around, and things just get tossed about Combine week. And one of the things that happened this week was the initial report from Sportskeeda's Tony Pauline, and he wrote an article saying that the Saints are considering releasing Tyrann Mathieu. There's 1 year left on Tyrann's deal. And the question is, would this be a wise move? Now, moving on from Tyrann Mathieu does not save the Saints any money. It, in fact, hurts them financially. The 1 year that's left on Tyrann Mathieu's deal, in my opinion, is not a year of significant consequence when it comes to wins and losses. I know that probably rubs some people the wrong way. You want to lace them up, go play and compete, and that may be the way the Saints are approaching it. I'm sure it is. But I'm sitting here analyzing things, and I'm looking at the roster, and I'm going, that's not a really good roster, and they're going to have to do some significant roster management to restock the shelves. And by the time they do that, Tyrann Mathieu will be gone. He said he wants to play 2 more years. He's only under contract for 1 more year with the Saints. Now, Tyrann, in his 3 years in New Orleans, has been a pretty average player, I would say. He's certainly not the all-pro that he once was. You're talking about a guy who was a first-team all-pro in 2019 and 2020 in Kansas City. He's not that anymore. But he's been durable. He's played in every game since he joined the Saints. All 17 games, all 3 years as a starter. He's been fairly productive. Had 64 tackles the first year, 50 the second year, had 47 this past year. He's gotten his hands on the football, as he generally does. 3 picks, 4 picks, 3 picks. And what you know you're getting with Tyrann Mathieu, on top of the durability, is a phenomenal locker room guy. It's a guy who has been around winning cultures, who does the right things, goes about his work the right way. And it's interesting to say that about a guy who was kicked off the football team down the street back in 2012. But at this point, now that we're 13 years down the road, 12 years that he's played in the NFL, he is an awesome guy to have on your roster. So to me, as I look at this, I would not cut Tyrann Mathieu. It doesn't make financial sense. I don't think it makes football sense. And if you're just talking about building a culture that is going to be important for Kellen Moore to come in and establish, this is one of the guys you want to have that's around to help do that. So do I think that moving on from Tyrann Mathieu will open up a spot for a younger player? I doubt it. I don't. Do you look at that roster and see somebody that's just begging to break through? I don't. We'll see what they do in the draft. But if I draft somebody that plays that position, wouldn't I like them to learn from Tyrann Mathieu for a year? A guy that's been a first-team All-Pro 3 times? A guy that's made 3 Pro Bowls? A guy that's been with a championship organization? You think I want to just toss that guy out, or do I want him to help foster the relationship with those younger players that eventually will take over for him? That's an easy call for me. I want that guy on my team. You look at his contract, his base salary for 2025 as a 33-year-old is going to be $6.25 million. That's expensive. His cap hit is going to be $11.3 million. But that's coming no matter what. I'd rather carry him as part of the salary cap than have dead money of 13.8 if you let him go. No thanks. So there was nothing elaborated upon in this report. There was nothing that suggested it was imminent. It was just something that was tossed out there. And I suggest no. I'm all about the Saints getting younger and cheaper. I'm all about that. But that has a focus on 2026, 2027, 2028. Somewhere in that window is the next really good Saints team, we hope. That is not in 2025, and that's the only year that you've got this money tied up in Tyrann. So, no, I'm not paying him the $11.3 million cap hit to be an all-pro safety like he once was. I'm paying him to be a durable player who's out there, who's still fairly productive, who's great in the locker room, and can help a new coach, a first-time head coach, command some respect. And I honestly can't point to 10 guys in the NFL who I'd rather have in the locker room from that perspective than Tyrann Mathieu in New Orleans. That's a guy who's got a ton of pride in his city, a ton of pride as a pro, understands his position in the league right now. He's already said he only wants to play 2 more years. He is the guy, the type of guy that you want to have as a part of ushering in this new era. So I am all about doing what it takes to keep him in New Orleans and happy. And I just don't see the positive to cutting Tyrann Mathieu. You don't get cap relief. You get worse on the field, and you get much worse in the locker room. That, to me, is 3 strikes against this idea. If you're just purely talking about his age and his ability as a football player, yes, he's lost a step. But he hasn't deteriorated so badly that you've got to move on. And your roster is not in a position to pick up and move on. I can sever all these ties, all this emotional ties and all this goodwill in the locker room and all that, if I feel like I'm making a change that's going to get me closer to the playoffs. I don't see that happening for this New Orleans team. They don't have the money to go out and get somebody who's a shoe-in to be a Pro Bowler. It's just not feasible. You might as well use the guy who's already taking up a significant amount of money at that position. So I'm out on that idea. I'm pro Tyrann sticking around in New Orleans for 1 more year. Maybe that's it for his career. Maybe he's got another year left in the tank. I certainly wouldn't extend his contract and keep him around for 3 more years. But for just 1, which is already all he has under contract, yeah, I'm pro keeping Tyrann around in New Orleans. Beck, you're an LSU guy. You're a Saints guy. I'd like to keep the Badger around.
Yeah, I don't think that cutting him and saving, I don't know if they save a few.
No, you don't save it.
Yeah.
You lose money.
Yeah,
his dead cap number is bigger than his cap hit number.
Yeah, so I don't see the purpose for it other than maybe that's a roster spot that you can just use for somebody younger. But still, I think you keep him around as he's going to be a good locker room guy. And he can still play. He's not gonna play every snap for you on defense, but he can still go out there and make plays. We saw him do it last year. We've seen him do it in the few years he's been here with the Saints. So I think you keep him and at least for this next year.
I'm pro cutting Derek Carr and moving on and eating all that money because that is a vital piece to moving forward as an organization. Your safety, that's not nearly important enough for me to make some sort of swift move. It's just a very, very different conversation, and I just feel like that it's just a different conversation. It's just a different thing to keep him around. So we'll see. Nobody else is reporting that this is an imminent situation, so it feels like that it may not have a lot of substance. But you are going to see some changes that are coming with the Saints. We'll see what happens with Derek Carr. We'll see what happens with Taysom Hill. Some of these older players that have a lot of money attached to their deals, that there are going to be opportunities there. But I would keep Tyrann Mathieu around. So hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button. Leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.